Good afternoon. So today we have the fantastic, really, really cool, oh, Molly Northcote, a fantastic artist and belongs to an awesome collective as well, which I'm very excited to chat with her about today. So yeah, just waiting for Molly to join us. But yeah, it's very, very exciting times because yeah, I was just a sort of fan of her faces and stuff, and then having to go and research a bit deeper made me really connect in a much different way. I can't wait to hear like what's led her to the things that she's doing and the things that are most important to her. So I'm excited to share it with you all. So yeah, just waiting for it to come on. Hello, Abby. Hi, Georgia. Yeah, so today it's going to be exciting. Yeah, just love to hear sort of whatever any artist is going through. And I'm just so lucky that these artists that I really like and just sort of happen to find them on Instagram, it's been amazing to connect with them in this way. So I'm very, very excited for today. Ba-ba-da. Yeah. Oh, that wind. I don't think you can hear it, but I think it's blowing away all of our sunshine. It's very sad times. Hi, good morning. Yeah, so I don't really I love it. Thanks, Abby. Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I'm sort of on my own and I don't know what Molly's gonna say, but thanks for all joining in to find out. Very excited. Big up Hanway Collective. Whoop, whoop. Thanks, Abby. And Rex. Oh, you're so sweet. But yeah, so today, yeah, Molly's from Bristol, so that's exciting as well because a lot of my friends, when they talk about the art scene of England, they talk about Bristol very highly. So I'm excited to hear from an artist's perspective who's actually like lives in Bristol. I don't think she's from there, but I think she's based there. But yeah, Bristol's very artistic and exciting, so I can't wait. Also don't know what to say, guys, so don't want to lose your attention. Ah, she's here just in the peak of time. Excellent. I would do the big reveal, but I can never get it right. Instagram will just let her pop up. Yeah.
Hello, hi. Sorry about that. I had
Sorry.
I had a quick dash to
That's
get some
okay.
headphones, and I couldn't connect them. I was like, "Brr." 'Cause, yeah.
I was
Hello.
having a panic attack on my laptop, just wouldn't do anything like with 2 minutes to 12. I was like, no, not now. Please.
No. Always
Well,
happens.
good,
Always happens.
well, good
Yeah.
afternoon. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Yeah. How are you? How's everything
Oh,
going?
I don't know how to feel because I really love your stuff and I've liked your stuff. I realized for quite long because I've seen it a lot more than since I found out about you. Like I've seen your face pop up in a random feed, so I felt like
Yeah.
sort of fangirling, but I'm like, I can't wait to hear what she has to say. 'Cause in
Oh God.
stalking you yesterday and this morning, which has been quite fun, it sounds a bit creepy, but I have to say what it is. And it's been
I've
really
been
cool to go
outside your
through.
window, just watching.
Just a little creepy, not too creepy, guys.
Just the
Not
right
like
amount of
police
creepy.
creepy.
The right amount. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it's been really cool to understand. Like, I really want to talk to you a bit about your collective that you belong to as well, and it's
Mm.
very, very exciting. So yeah, if we start off with an introduction from yourself, and then we'll crack on, as
Go
they
from
say.
there. I think I caught the a little bit about you saying about yeah, so I'm based in Bristol at the moment. So I've been living here for about half a year now, so that's 6 months. But I'm actually from North Yorkshire. So I live in
Yes,
like a
I was
really
saying.
yeah.
So I wasn't sure that you were from Bristol because in your bio it says Yorkshire and then Bristol. But I'm so
Yeah.
excited to talk to someone who's an artist living in Bristol because I just hear
Um
amazing things about like that. So I can't wait to hear more
oh,
about
it's
that.
such an amazing city. It's pretty special. But yeah, no, I'm from North Yorkshire. So I grew up in a really small town called Kirby Moorside, which is I don't know if you've heard of York and Scarborough. Maybe
Scarborough I've heard
Scarborough's
of,
like
yeah.
a seaside kind of town. And it's basically
Yeah.
in the middle of there, like on the moors. So yeah, so that was a pretty amazing childhood because that was just out in the countryside. Not, yeah, very different compared to Bristol. Not a lot went on up there. And then yeah, did that, and then went to university in Leeds. So I did product design there, and that was a 4-year course. And then
Oh,
my third year, I lived in Hull as part of like a industrial placement. So I lived there
okay.
for a little bit, and that had like its own really unique art scene as well. So that was really, really
Really?
interesting. Yeah,
I
it's
would never associate Hull and art, like Hull and football hooliganism. I've heard loads
yeah,
about,
I
obviously,
know.
but like an art scene, that's
Yeah, when
crazy.
I
Sorry.
when I first got the job in Hull, I was telling my parents, I was like, yeah, it's in Hull, and they're like, okay, because I like lived on my own there, had like a little flat, and everyone was like, oh yeah, one oh what was it? It was like city of the year, something like that. Um, and I absolutely loved my time there. It is such
Hmm.
a cool little place. Yeah, it's really, really, it's got loads of different like pockets in different areas. And then I got involved. It was actually as my last year of uni, so I was back in Leeds, but then I came back to Hull, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But they've got a small art scene, and it's like a really big graffiti scene. And
Hmm.
yeah, one of the projects that I was involved with was a big festival on a housing estate, which was being knocked down. And basically, the art group was sort of in conversation with the council. And basically, they were like, yeah, you can do what you want to it because we're going to be knocking it down anyway. So there was like this really big festival, and everyone had like a side of a house to paint on. And yeah, just really down to earth, lovely, lovely people. So yeah, that was Hull. And then back in Leeds, and then Bristol. And here I am now.
And was the Leeds was your studying, and now that you're Bristol, is Bristol just like for you to be closer to becoming an artist? Like, why Bristol?
um, so my boyfriend's from Bristol. So that was like that was a nice little bonus. So yeah, I've visited Bristol over the past 4 years, sort of back and forth, and fell in love with it instantly. It's such an amazing place, and yeah, just with my work, pretty much the dream job came up, and it all kind of just magically fell into place. So it was primarily because of like my 9 to 5 job that I'm in Bristol. But I think if I had to pick somewhere to live out of choice, I would have chosen here anyway. So it's worked
Oh,
out
wow.
pretty well. It's worked out pretty well. But yeah.
That's
Well, what about
amazing.
you? Are you?
Uh, I'm from South Africa, and I've
Yeah.
lived here for about, I think I'm in my 17th year now. So
Oh my God!
I was kind
Wow.
of 19 when I left. So I'm almost the same age, in
Yeah, in
both
each
countries.
place. Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
strange,
that's
but I
fascinating.
do love, yeah, I love London because everywhere you look, there's just someone from somewhere different.
Mm. Hmm.
And I find that, and I think a lot of the people, why I'm so interested in why you chose Bristol is because obviously, you guys, well, Bristol's had such, they've had Dismaland, and they've always had this kind of really artistic, like everyone I know that's an artist talks about Bristol in some fashion. And I'm like, what is it with this place? Like, I'm
What is going on?
oh, what the hell are you guys doing down there? I'm excited about it. And then obviously like your graffiti stuff, I'm like such a fangirl right now because I'm in my like infancy as a writer. I'm like, I just want to learn how to spray stuff. I saw
Please.
yours and I was like, oh my God, a girl graffiti artist. Yay.
No. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh no, but
Yeah.
I just think it's an amazing, and I suppose why I resonated with your graffiti pieces is that it's more kind of the way I want to use graffiti is more of an expressive term than getting my name up or getting street cred. Like those
Yeah.
days are past. I'm older now. I just want to paint pretty things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the graffiti stuff you did was awesome. And
Mm.
how, like, what was the initial, if we can talk about your initial introduction into art, and then like how has it been? Because your journey through your Instagram is I love that you have so many different mediums. You post quite a lot when you get to clay. I think we're all playing when it comes to being artists because it's more fun than other jobs.
100%.
But and you post so much of that and part of your process, which I think is beautiful. Not a lot of people do post their process as much, but I really enjoy that, like, selfishly for me. So how is it, like, what was your initial sort of inspiration into your field, or?
That's a big question. That is the question. I think not to be kind of cliche, but like I have always drawn. Like
Awesome.
I've always drawn from tiny. And I think that's something that's just always been just something that I've done. It's not really been like, oh, I'm going to try art. It's just been the same as, oh, this is sounding a bit cheesy, but like walking or things like that. Like it is just always, I've just always had a pencil. So that's kind of always just been sort of in the background. And then absolutely loved my primary school, my secondary school, and my sixth form. Did art, you know, for like GCSE and A level and things like that. And I think in another life, it would have been insane to go to art school and just dedicate time and just have the opportunity to do whatever you want, explore loads of different stuff. But I think it's not it's just one way of doing it. But I think for me, I didn't want the relationship with my art to be sort of based on money, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was to go into art full time, then that would have been the way that I had income, and that would have had a lot of pressure on me dishing out stuff and just being complete. And I think the relationship with what I have with art now would have been completely different. So I think I'm pleased I went down the way that I did. And yeah, so I did product design. That was more of like that was an engineering course rather than an arts course. So I didn't really get that much opportunity to sort of tie in my arts in the way of like my work in uni. And then I'd say it was when I was in Hull and I had a bit more, because I had my weekends back because I was working 9 to 5 again, and lived on my own in Hull, and I had all this spare time, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And yeah, I think my boyfriend is insane and so supportive, and just basically was like, just how do I describe it, but basically just like take it to that next level in a weird way, basically. So he was like, yeah, very kind of, how do I describe it, I think I kind of always wanted to make it into more of a thing rather than a hobby, actually start selling stuff and doing it more on a full-time thing. And he was like, oh, just do it. And I was like, okay then. So I don't know if you scrolled back right at the start, but I was just like, right, I'm going to make an Instagram page, it's going to be a thing, and then it's official. So I made that page, and then I just did loads of like random little drawings, and then got them made into little postcards.
Yes.
And I was like, it's my way in. So I did that, and that was basically the start of the whole kind of Instagram thing, and just having a bit of just taking it a lot more seriously.
Well, it's very Basquiat of you, you know, to break in with the old postcards. So yeah, very sneaky. I like it.
Yeah, and it was just such a, do you know what I mean? Like, I think I bought 40, was it 30 or 40 postcards. If they didn't sell, I wasn't really losing crazy. Like, it was just if it works, it works. If not. And yeah, basically that kind of kick-started actually doing it. I think I love Instagram because I think I spend an equal amount of time obviously looking at other people's stuff, but it's so nice, especially when you uploaded all of my stuff on the story, and it's just so nice going back and being like, oh shit, it's just like a nice like library of stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I always think it's such a beautiful time capsule kind of diary, definitely, and a portfolio all sort of in one. And what I love about, you know, when you talk about your processes throughout, like you have this portrait that you did that stood out to me, but I loved what you wrote underneath it, which was how upset you were that it was really taking away from your style. Like this man was forcing you to draw in such a way that made you really uncomfortable. Yeah. But you were really glad that you did that, because I think as an artist it is important to stretch, really pay attention to someone and think, well, this is not me. But actually, you know, what did you notice and that you can transfer to you and your style?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought posting sort of that struggle, you know, what you talked about was really interesting because it was still a beautiful portrait, really, really nicely done. And it stood out to me. You still had like very emotive lines and stuff.
Was that the big one?
It was a lady, an older lady. It was a kind of side profile. I think I've got it here.
Oh my God, yeah, that was.
And the man had sort of pushed you in the lesson to do stuff you didn't, you know, not to draw nose the way you think. And it made me think of, like, we do a live drawing class every Sunday in London when we're allowed to be near each other again. But a friend of mine did the same. He kept drawing what he thought her body should look like. And I said to him, you have to stop. And really look at what's in front of you, because he was so nervous. He was just drawing like what I think are and then you can tell when someone's done it. So even though it wasn't your style, I found it while I was going through, and I thought, and I read it and I thought, oh, I've been there. I really understand. But it's important to also do that, you know, like stretch yourself outside of that comfort zone.
Definitely. And it's the kind of, I think I could sort of draw links between that and going to uni for product design, because we had to learn how to draw like all in perspective and in 3D, and it was like I sort of went to uni thinking, yeah, I can use a pencil, and then that first sort of session, and it's like you have to forget everything that you know, all the kind of like pre-mental model stuff of like how you would approach something, and just put that all to the back of your head and just learn how to draw again in like a completely different way. And that's so similar to the that was such a cool class that was in Bristol. And it was like a day's portrait drawing class, and yes, we had this amazing model and this amazing teacher, and I was like drawing away, blah blah blah, and I think I asked him, because you know when you get all those books and it's like how to draw, and it's like you draw your eyes and there's like another eye in the middle and there's like some tricks, and I was like, have you got any tips of how to do? I couldn't get was it her nose? Couldn't get the nose right. He just looked at me and he was like, no no and he was like, you need to just forget about all of that, and he was like, just actually look at what is in front of you. He was like, don't look at it like a nose, look at it as in like, but like all the lines, and don't look at it like it's a face, almost just really get your head into what it is. And it was just fascinating, because I was like, oh, something that you're so, I think it's just having something turned on its head which you feel comfortable with, and I think that definitely, like with anything, it just kind of really pushes you to work in a different way and sort of reflect on how you do work before that, how you did work before that. But yeah, I forgot about that post. You have been stalking.
It wasn't really your style. And when I was scrolling through, and I was like, ooh, a live drawing class. And I always like to go in, because I run one, I like to go and see when people do things. And I thought, I just love the wording underneath, because it's still a very beautiful portrait. But for me, what you had said behind it, I've lived that struggle. I've watched people struggle like that. And I think it's also so important to push yourself, like you said, not to compromise your style in any way, but to extend and go and learn different things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'd say that style was actually, that's the kind of stuff that I used to do, like before. I think growing up, I was definitely more interested in the kind of like, do you call it like hyper-realism? Like, where it looks like a photo, like that kind of thing. And I was like fanatical about making sure everything was right. And I think now I'm a lot more relaxed. I think now I'm a bit more like, we'll put a line in, and it's a bit more kind of free, whereas before that was like, there's different kind of ways of doing things have their sort of specialties. And I think there's I think like with, I don't know, making a piece of music or doing something like that, like actually having something which is how you want it to look. If that makes sense. And it's sort of like the start and finish and the process of really putting a lot of time and a lot of detail into something. I don't feel like I kind of strayed away from doing that, so it was nice to go back to what I used to do. And it was really fun.
No, I just thought it was really, I really wanted to, I know it sounds so weird, because it's in the midst of all, like, I love your work, because it's like, I really dig it. I don't know how to I don't know how to talk about it, but it makes me happy. Like when I look, they
Stop
genuinely,
it.
they make me happy because they've got elements of like the graffiti that I love, that I know growing up. They've got just the way you do the, I don't know, it's just brilliant. I mean, I don't have all big fancy artwork, guys. Sorry, I'm fangirling a bit, but really the portraits make me happy, and how you like mixing like more of the digital stuff. Like I'm excited to see where that's going, and but then you get to the some more recent stuff, and it's, you know, those full paintings with the ballerina, and then you've
Oh
worked with
yeah,
her.
yeah,
Oh, so cool. I really,
I don't know what to
hold on, I
say.
gotta just flip this around for a second, because if you see, that's the one that I mean.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that was a
it's,
really recent one.
yeah, it's really elegant and cool. And not to say your other stuff isn't elegant, but you have all the same elements. Like you see, you still have these elements beautifully like integrated into this in a way that like, I don't know. Well done. Very good.
Wow, you're being very nice. Thank you.
It's
But
very cool.
I think yeah, I think especially I think there's quite a lot of pressure if you sort of call yourself an artist, or if someone says, "Oh, you're an artist, what do you do?" And I think there's always kind of this pressure of saying, being able to summarize what you do in like one tagline and one sentence,
Yeah.
and being able to say, "Yes, I do this, and I use." Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you go on a website and there's just that one kind of small paragraph which is basically summarizing everything what you do in one thing, and that is something that I've always struggled with, and I've always like, right, I will be a proper artist when I have one style and it's recognizable, and that's when I will make it. But I think, yeah, I think that's not a rule. Someone's made that a
Yeah.
rule. It's not actually a rule. And yeah, I think I don't think you need to do the same thing all the time. So yeah, no, it is yeah, I, yeah, I think it wasn't until you posted all that stuff I was like, oh my god, I forgot about all of that. And it's just nice actually seeing the like transition of,
Mm.
because it's more, I feel I take a lot of influence from other artists, and I spend most of my time on Instagram just kind of on there. You know, you have the homepage on the left, and then you have
Yeah.
the button next to it, which is random. And it's just like loads of stuff, and just a nice way of like finding loads of new people. And I think when I went through this phase of, oh, I really need to nail down my style a little bit more. I remember going online and typing in, how do I how do I make my own style? Because I Google everything, and obviously it was just rubbish. But there was one article that really stood out, and basically he was saying, it was just like a small exercise, and he was like, pick 5 artists that you absolutely are obsessed with, and then from each person pick one piece of work which is you absolutely love of each one, and then basically have them all together on one page, and then just basically label the bits that you like from each thing. And you can, through that exercise, you could kind of see similarities between all the different artists, and it's like you might figure that out, that, oh, I really like the realism mixed with the really cartoon sort of gawky stuff.
Mm.
And that's like, oh, maybe that's what I want to do. And so that was a bit of a turning point as well. And I think I made another Instagram account, which I was like, right, you know, when you're saved on Instagram,
Yeah.
you know, you can save stuff. I had all of these artists which I saved, and I was like, right, I'm going to put them on a separate account. So I did that, and it was just a really nice way of actually having everything all at once just to look at, and then being like, oh, okay, today when I don't know what to do, I'm going to copy a little bit from that, and I'm going to take a pinch of that, and then sort of combine it all together. And that's kind of where the commission came from, the recent one with the ballerina.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because there was who was it? I'm obsessed. I wrote it down because I forget everything. Matt Hansel. Have you heard of his work?
Maybe if I see it. I've had a lot of names in my face.
This artist called Matt Hansel, which I absolutely love his work, and it's kind of, I was going to say similar to my work. My work is similar to his, in the sense that it's like a collage of just so many different styles. Like on one instance, they'll have the most detailed sort of drawing of a monkey or a face, and then I'll have like Pinocchio, like a cartoon Pinocchio coming through, and it's all like, whoa, what's he doing? And yeah, I think I've definitely, I feel like I've grown a lot more in the past sort of year, just from taking so much inspiration from other people that I really like, and not being afraid to copy as well. I think there's a massive stigma. Is there a massive stigma? Not a stigma, but like
I think it's when it's like that, you know, when are you appropriating and when are you appreciating? It's that type of sort of...
Appropriating mean? What does that mean?
Oh, when you take something from a culture and get a financial benefit out of it by sort of adjusting it to suit a market.
Okay.
Instead of just sort of appreciating it as a part of a culture and giving the credit where it's due.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I feel it's kind of similar in that respect. So where's the line? You know what I mean?
Yeah, where's the...
Art is inspired. Everybody took something from someone. Like there was no, you know, if you're taking it from nature, like it's already been designed. But
it's already been done.
So I think I agree with you. I think there's a point where I think, but you're very open with giving credit and, you know, associating with artists that you have used for inspiration. So I think that's where it's not a problem. But I think if you would just sort of do that and sort of be like, oh, this is mine, and, you know.
I made this all by myself. Yeah. I did this. I don't know where it came from. No, definitely. And I think even just as not as a process to actually have a complete painting or picture at the end of things, just as I want to do some art today. I don't have to show anyone at the end, but just as a way of like because it can be so daunting just looking at a blank piece of paper, and it can either be really exciting or either like I can't think of anything. What do I do? So actually just taking a step back and be like, you know what, I'm going to take something that I really like and I'm going to copy it, and then halfway through you're like, I can do this with it, and that's like made me think about something else. And I think it sort of brings me back to another artist. Is it? I can't think of his name. Credit people. But there was another man who said something out there he was like, in inspiration, basically you have to do something in order to be inspired. You can't just sit there waiting for that kind of light bulb moment. Like, it doesn't come like that. You have to just start walking or just start teasing at something, even if it's not what you want to do, and then that's the kind of the ignition to just be like, jumping on it and then going. It's like kickstarting a car. You need to just like give it a little bit of a push, and then
gentle.
Just a little. But,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk to you about. I feel like I don't have enough time. But I do think as well, what's quite interesting is when you have stalked lovely Molly, you go all the way through her Instagram, it still keeps it on very much on brand, and you can almost see you working your way towards that collage of the ballerina with your background from, you know, you did a couple of prints, I think even as a wedding gift, and you had done some screen printing or something.
Yeah.
With screen printing? Yeah, and then you...
not screen printing. No, it wasn't screen printing. Sorry, it was lino printing.
Sorry, forgive me. I was like, what is it? Some printing. But in that one, I kind of feel elements of that, even though you don't use it in the ballerina one. But I feel like you can see your transformation towards that really, really clearly. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I hadn't even...
Sorry, it's just because I'm obviously fresh for me. I'm like, that's like that. I wonder if that is that.
This is interesting.
But if we talk a bit about face to face, faces to faces, forgive me.
Oh my God! Faces and faces.
Faces and faces, yes.
Yeah.
I love you had this beautiful packaging as well, and it was all this whole sustainability thing. So maybe not more sort of how important is sustainability to you throughout your art and your projects? Obviously, like, I know it's important, but if you could expand a bit, like, I love how you give hints, like, please reuse this as storage in your home.
Please, you don't have to.
Like the drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to be sustainable. But
Yeah.
how important is that for you in your art?
Yeah, I think that's like it's something that I constantly try and sort of fit in with everything, and not just as an addition, but I think it's kind of stemmed, just thought about it then, I think it stemmed from, I don't know if it was a project at uni or just like conversations that we had, but I quite like the idea of having a product, and it's a bit like, no, this is what I'm thinking of. You know, when you have, not when you have, if you were to kill a buffalo, like a Native American, like his whole family was hunting a buffalo, and they would use every single part of it, and like nothing would go to waste. I don't know why, but I absolutely love that kind of thinking and approach. And I don't know if that's kind of stemmed through the artwork as well. Like, I'd love to be able to just give something to someone and they use like everything. Everything of it. So that was like kind of where the tubes came from. And then you could put like a little slot in the top and then use it as a little money pot. So I think it's a conversation that everyone's having at the moment. Like, how do you make things more sustainable? And it's actually just properly thinking about where things come from and where things go as well. You sort of just put something in the bin and then you don't really think about where it's going to go. And that happens daily. And I think if you kind of have a responsibility as well, I think if you're selling stuff and you're making stuff, I think if you are interested in all of that, it's very easy to say, oh, I love the environment. But I think if you're not actually putting it in, like doing it, then it's a bit pointless. Saying that, there's still a lot more that I can do. And everyone, you know what I mean? I'm not saying, oh, I'm perfect. And I've like talked about it on some stories and stuff before. And it's even just things like just thinking about, yeah, we've got this packaging which is recycled, and because I have like little like cornstarch bags as well to put the artwork in as well. So that's all compostable. And I was like, oh, it's all a bit pointless if I'm using paint, which is acrylic. It's kind of like, doesn't really make sense. So I think it's definitely like an ongoing journey and kind of just process to try and find the best way to just make sure everything that you're creating and giving to someone is, I think it's just nice, isn't it? And it's just,
I mean, I'll give you guys an idea. This is Calvin, not me. I mean, how cute is the packaging, guys? Like, and that's what I mean. I don't know if it will. Let's have a little look.
I don't know if it's on it's on Instagram. It might not. Oh, it does! Hey!
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, that's beautiful. And that could be, you know, when you take care of the packaging like that, I feel like it does give people a reason to kind of keep it for storage, not just throw it away. You know, it becomes a bit more, there's an emotional connection to that packaging a little bit more so, especially if it's artwork, you know. I think that was really, really cute.
Thank you.
Check you out. You're so lovely and sustainable.
No. So woke.
Yeah, because I mean, my sister, she paints glass and stuff, and everything of
Did you interview
hers.
her?
I did, Shannon.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, she does like epic stuff, but everything of hers is either like jars of coffee people have kept, or like she'll go to the charity shop if she wants to get any wine glasses, and all her packaging is from like anything that she orders, because you know Amazon will give you like a 52-liter box for a like
oh my god, it's so annoying. Really.
So she's luckily, like, we've got it all in our loft. Every piece of plastic is saved, and now she never has to look for any new packaging. She can just make a box. And I think, like, I'm so in awe of how thrifty she is. Like, she's like, I'm not wasting money on this. Look how much crap we get in time. We just stick it in the loft and get it when I need it. And I was like, that's
completely. There's something really nice about that. And I think I can relate on that. I think I've become a bit of a hoarder when it comes to cardboard boxes and packaging, and I have rummaged through bins, just be like, oh my god, but it's a big piece, and like even just like bubble wrap. Oh my god, because it's expensive as well. It really is so expensive to buy decent packaging. So if you
And
can
so
recycle it,
many people give it away. They're just
yeah,
like, Amazon, I don't understand how they pack their things sometimes.
I
I'm like,
know,
why do you need all of this protective plastic stuff?
I
And
know.
Shan just smiles at me and she grabs and she goes, well,
I've got it in the bag. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
crazy.
And
So
I
yeah,
think,
I always love when I find something that is sustainable. Not saying like forcing everyone to be more sustainable, but we are kind of all here.
yeah,
And we've fucked stuff up quite sufficiently. Like we need to start being more conscious of what we're doing.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Mm.
But yeah, if we could get to now your so far, your proudest moment when it's connected to your art. Obviously, there's a
Um,
long career ahead of you, Molly. Long career. We're here for it.
I hope so. Touch
But so
wood. I
far,
hope so. Proudest moment. I would say probably the first time I did a big piece, a big mural, and that was the whole one. Because yeah, it was in my final year of uni. It was in my final year. Yeah, it was my final year of uni, and so I followed. It's called Bankside Gallery. That's like the collective of people, and they put up a post saying, we're hosting this really big festival, we need 100 artists, each artist will get their own wall of a house. And yeah, to do like free reign. And I remember just signing up, I was like, yeah, genuinely, hand on heart, had never done anything like that before. And I'm not even being like, never did anything like that. And then I was like, yeah, I'll sign up. Not expecting to get picked because I was like, 100 thing, it's going to be like a big festival. And then, yeah, they sent me a message like, hey, yeah, you're one of the 100 artists, or something like that. Yeah, come on this date, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, crap. I don't have any spray paints or anything. And it was like my last, blah, 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 last year of uni. So I was like, it was very intense. And at that point, I didn't have time to do, well, I did, but I didn't really have that much time to buy spray paints and find a wall and practice and things like that. And I had like, what was it, like couple of months beforehand? And I was like, right, this weekend, I want to buy some spray paints and I'm going to just do a bit of practicing. And then the weekend came, I was like, shit, I've got another deadline. Oh, it's going to have to be next weekend. And then it just got closer and closer and closer. And I bought some spray paints from Wilko like 2 days before. Bought them from Wilko. I was literally YouTubing the crap out of like, how do you paint a mural? What the hell do I do? Do I need a big paintbrush? Do I need to like gloss it with anything afterwards so the rain doesn't wash it away? And so it came to it, I was like, right, booked my train, booked a hotel, went over to Hull, and literally turned up with like a little suitcase. Got there, and I was like, yep, Molly, I'm here to paint the wall, blah blah. And then I went round to my bit, and you know, it's that moment where you're like, what am I doing? What the? And you know, it's that kind of like fake it until you make it. And I was like, I'm faking it way too far now. So I was like, right. I was like trying to watch what everyone else is doing. I was like, okay, they're priming the wall. I'll do that. So they were great. They had like loads of the emulsion, which I managed to use from them. And so I started painting it, and I bought my little like handheld one from Wilko. And I think it was like it was kind of like a very sort of blokey festival. I think it was like 3 girls there in total. And with this little roller, like this massive wall. And this guy comes up to me, he's like, do you want a longer roller? I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. So I borrowed his roller. I was like, that's great, thank you. And just, I don't know, I've got it all on my story saved, but because I'm so small as well, I had to borrow a ladder. So I borrowed a ladder from someone. Everyone was so nice, so friendly. I mean, everyone was doing the same thing. So they're like, yeah, I borrowed the ladder. Like everyone was just there for the same reason. And just got paint everywhere. There's no technique whatsoever. And I get like 3/4 of the way through. I'm like, bloody hell, I can't even paint to the top. So I was like, right, it's gonna have to do. It'll be fine. I waited for that to paint. And I was like, right, give me the spray paint. So I went round the back, gave it a little spray. I was like, okay. Did like I was trying to copy what I saw on YouTube, like I was like, right, let's go. And I knew what I was going to paint. I had a photograph of this rapper that I really like called Smino, and it was just a really kind of, his face was just a bit sort of all twisted, and it was just a really nice thing to draw. I was like, oh, okay, that'll be manageable, and it's got a really cool little gold tooth. Yeah, and it was just doing that completely freehand, and yeah, that was I didn't think that was going to go well. I was like, it doesn't matter, it's not for anyone. So I literally basically like wrote it off, and I was like, we'll just see what happens. And yeah, I was up the ladder, and it's so, when you're doing big work, with the whole perspective, you have to stand way back to actually see what you're doing. And it's so easy to be like this close and like, oh, this looks really good, this is great. And then you step back and you're like, oh my God, their eyes up here, their nose is down here, start again. And so I'd like done his nose, and I was like, okay, good start, this is great, step back. And it was like 3/4 of the way up the wall. And I was looking there, I was like, oh, that means his eyes are going to be in the roof. Right, gonna have to start this again. And it was this whole kind of like iterative kind of back and forth of, this is really good, step back, no, doing it again. And yeah, in the end I made something, and I was pretty happy with it. So that was a proud moment, in the sense of just completely just getting on with it in that kind of thing, like completely, I don't care what it's going to look like, just do something. Oh, yeah,
I love it. But it's so cool, because I was looking, obviously when you said you had a gold tooth, I was like, I have to scroll while she's talking to me, because I've seen the flipping thing, and I like it.
Oh, thank you.
I love your characters. I think they're and the octopus. Oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah, that was it, because it was a 2-day festival. So I sort of finished the one on the left, and then I ran out of orange paint, but I had some other paint, so I was like, right, and I still had like the rest of the wall. No, that's what it was. Was it that I initially only had half the wall, and then they gave me the full wall because someone didn't turn up? Can't remember, something weird like that. And so I had this second day, and I was like, hey, I can spray paint now. This is not easy, but I was like, this is fine. So I was like, fine. And then yeah, did that little octopus, and that was I've done another octopus since then. And they're really fun to. Yeah, it was my dad's backyard. He had like a little mini courtyard, and he wanted a big octopus on the side there. And they're just, because they're not as sort of strict as a face. Do you know what I mean? You can draw the arms wherever, and it still looks like an octopus, if that makes sense. Ish.
Yeah.
So they're quite that was quite a fun. That was quite
fun.
And see that one there, the one that is that the right one? So that's actually on Photoshop.
Not the one. Oh.
So there's another. So that was but there's the other one. I don't know if you got it on there. Maybe the post afterwards, because I did a. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, the one after is like this. I think it's the same space.
Oh, yeah. That's the real one.
Oh, okay.
That's the real one.
Oh, I love it. I think it's so cool.
Thank you
Very
so
awesome.
Much. Thank you.
Thank you for making cool things to look at. It's very awesome.
Thank you.
But now, on the back of your sort of proudest moments, if we then talk about like what was your scariest moment or most apprehensive?
I think I know this one. The scariest one, I think it's actually coupled with the hardest thing I've ever done, like both art and just generally. And that was, so I did, following on from the whole painting that I did, and that was like, when was it? Maybe 2 months afterwards. My flatmate at the time, he worked for this like music platform based in London, and he had a set at Gotwood Festival in Wales. And basically he had a set, and he had a massive, it was like a 10-foot, no, not 10 meter, 6 meter by 2 meter like a big board that was at the front of his set. And he had, I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, the person who was supposed to do the painting for that dropped out literally the day before, and he was leaving the day after to go to this festival. And he came down and he was like, hi Molly, I've seen that you've done this thing in Hull, like, would you do you want to do this one, like, are you okay to do this one? And it was like before my last exam or after my last exam? It was like really kind of short timing, and I was like, you can't really turn that opportunity down. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I didn't have any time to prep for it really. I had like a day and I did some like rough drawings, but then it was before the exam as well, so it was all a bit manic. And then literally got in his car. There was 4 of us jammed in a car, and we made the trip from Leeds to like the top of North Wales. And it was raining, and it was I didn't really know it. I knew one guy, but the other 2 people I didn't know. So I was just like, where is this situation come from? I'm just in a car in the middle of Wales with people that I don't know, driving to a festival to do something that I don't know what I'm going to do and don't really have experience doing, and it's a commission, and what am I doing? And anyway, so we got there, and I had a day to paint this. I had 1 day to like prep it and paint this commission. And so we stayed in a little what do you call it, like a tent thingy?
Yeah.
So we all stayed in this joint tent, and I was like, right, okay, you're gonna start painting now. And I had all the gear with me. So I was like, right, okay, I had the roller, so that was fine at this point. So I was like, right, okay, painted it all black. That was fine. I had the ladder, blah blah blah, and then waited for that to dry, and it started raining. And I was like, fuck, I'm not experienced in this. And it started raining. I was like, I don't even know. Like, does the paint? What happens if it absolutely pees it down and I can't paint? Then it was this whole completely deep end new sort of situation that I hadn't had any experience in before. Luckily, we had to wait like 3 hours for the paint to dry, and paint dried, and I was like, right, okay, let's do it. And I've got it all on my stories. And I had this I think I drew a couple of drawings, very sort of loose drawings, the day before, and showed it to him. I was like, right, is this what you wanted? And he sort of said, can we have a little bit of this? And I was like, yep. So I had this kind of rough thing. I did a couple more that morning, and I was like, right, I had just a piece of chalk, and I was like, right, I've got to draw this out now. And just faces, like you kind of have to get the proportions right in order for you to kind of be happy with what you're doing. And oh my god, it took me hours. And halfway through I was like, does chalk even rub off? Am I just like chalking all this stuff? And I went to rub it off, and it was like just smudging. And I was like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? Like, I should not be here. And it was literally just like just get on with it. You just got to keep going. And so I did it all in chalk, and it was getting like really dark at this point. And I was like, right, just keep going. And then kind of roughly did the outline of the face. And then did I do it with a spray paint? Basically realised what I wanted to do. A spray paint would have been too thick for the lines. So it was like a whole like, crap, okay, I've got to rethink how I'm going to do it. Anyway, managed to do it in the end, and got about 7/8 of the way through. And then it was like 11 o'clock midnight, and I was like, I need to go to bed now. This has been a long day. Went to sleep. It still rained a little bit in the night, but it was still kind of fine. I woke up the next morning, finished it off, and yeah,
that sounds terrible.
It was, looking back now, I think I had so much adrenaline. You don't really have, I don't think at the time I had time to really think about what was going on. Do you know what I mean? Like now I'm like, oh my god, what was I doing? But at the time I was like, I've got to do the painting. Like there was no time to just sort of sit back and be like, what the?
This is a great idea. Get in the car with me and drive to the north of Wales. Go,
and it'll be fine. But yeah, that was definitely, in terms of actual sort of applying skill and actually that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, just in terms of the scale of it and getting the proportions right, because I know sometimes you can use like a projector to put something on there, and you can also use like certain grid methods if you've got like your finished piece and to scale it up. But that was like completely freehand, massive thing. And yeah, I think I was quite happy with with that, just in case, just because there was an ending. I didn't think there was going to be an ending, but there was one, so that was a perk. That was nice.
The silver lining of the dark.
The silver lining, yeah. But
and then, so if we come to this revolting pandemic, so I'm thrilled that lots of you are at home and able to chat with me and to get to know you. That's lovely. But I'd also prefer to all have you as exhibitions in my pop-up gallery in real life, where we can have a drink or a coffee or a high five.
That would be lovely. Yeah.
It will be lovely. So how has the Welting pandemic affected your life, sort of, and then your art?
To be perfectly honest, I think it hasn't really, me completely on my own, isolated from everything else that's going on, it hasn't really affected me, which is, I'm so fortunate and grateful and lucky. And just because like with my work, we're all working from home and still able to work from home. So it's in the medical field, so all of that stuff is still happening. So really lucky in that sense. And then, so the only difference really is that my 9 to 5 is at home rather than in the office. When I'd be doing art anyway, which would be at home, it's still happening on the evenings and the weekends. So I think that's a very unique, not unique, but I think a lot of people, obviously loads of people haven't got it like that. And I think, but in terms of artwork though, I think, I think because people have been furloughed and to some extent, some people are in a situation when they do have more time just to do artwork and things like that. It has been really inspiring just seeing people create more stuff and just seeing more content online. So that's been, what would you call it? Not silver line. Just been one, not nice element, but it's been nice to see. I think
in watching you struggle to answer that, I feel exactly the same. I feel like I'm like, okay, I have a beautiful garden and like I'm at home. I don't have to go to work. I go out my house once a week. Like I'm so lucky, but I'm having such a great time. I'm really mindful that there's people in a really, really awful situation that they can't choose.
Oh my God, completely. It's so...
Yeah, it's horrific. Like people are just more conscious of who they live with and who they build their families with and their lives with, because like, I'm so lucky. Like my sister and I, we have a couple housemates. We're all quite chilled. There's no drama. There's no arguing. With a nice garden we can all retreat to, park up the road. So like really I'm feeling super blessed. But like you are also, I'm like, I'm having a good time, but I'm not, and it's really weird. I'm sorry about having a good time because I know there's so many people that aren't, but I am, I'm safe and I'm happy and
completely get that. It's it's a really weird one. It's kind of like you don't want to be, hey, this is great. When so many other people, this is like even just my family, like my family here, my family at home, just like, do you know what I mean? I'm young, I don't have kids, I don't have a mortgage to worry about, no one's reliant on me, so I have nothing to worry about really. But then obviously for those as well in the arts who rely on their music and their arts and their performing as a way, obviously as their enjoyment and as a way of actually earning money, it's awful. And I think that's
heartbreaking.
Just not knowing when, like my friend's a musician, and it's heartbreaking to talk to her because she's like, am I going to play in a pub again? Am I going to do this again? Like when am I be able to have a gig? And it's just that whole kind of not having an answer to something. And it's so, I don't think you have to, no one's asking for an answer. Like you don't have to provide an answer, but it's just, it's a really difficult one to talk about.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, and it's horrible because, like when you are one of the fortunate people going through something like this, it, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm quite an empathetic person. I can't like get to know you and to know you would be in pain, like break my heart. Like it's a bit much. I'm a bit too sensitive, I'm working on it. I'm toughening up over time. But it's really, really hard to even, I can't comprehend the stupidity of the politicians that have been put in place. I cannot comprehend, like you're a grown man and I'm not a petulant child. Please give me a real plan. Please don't open stuff put it in zone 3 or whatever the hell you're doing because you actually want to open retailers. Why? Unless I don't get it. I'm like, you don't learn from the Spanish flu, you all don't have a history book.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. And then also, like, I had this wonderful guy, artist Brian Mayner. He did a photography exhibition about the faces of our nurses, the NHS, or the faces of our NHS. No, the faces of our nurses, sorry. And they basically just taken nurses on shift into bathrooms, taken their portraits, and they'd chosen like one word to how they felt. And he was like, we love the clapping. We loving the love everyone's showing us and the different posts, but we need tangible change. Like, you know, we need to vote better, put people in positions where, you know, you can get that stuff. And I don't even want to watch the news anymore because it's like, I can't feel bad enough already as I do. And I don't want to feel the weight of you causing chaos for everyone because you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to watch you do that. It's embarrassing.
No. Yeah, I think, especially when it comes to the news and actually what you're engaging with. Not you personally, like people.
No, of course.
It's on the TV and it's on the radio and it's every single kind of like discussion on the radio at the moment. And it is very kind of, well, obviously very overwhelming because it's a pandemic. But I think it's such a weird one because no one has any idea what's going on. And it's just that complete unknown.
Yeah.
And
then,
so
like, but the thing for me as well, not to be this conspiracy theorist, but there is no way safe for me to go to find out information honestly. I don't care what political background or way that your company is run. I really don't want to piss in contest when I want to just find out the news. Like, I just want you to tell me, bang, 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 that's what's happening.
What I'm going to do.
Because honestly, I can't play like, we're all adults. Like, I looked around, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm a grown-up. Like,
last time I checked.
I still feel like I'm like 19 and fresh-faced when I just got you. Like, come on, guys. No? What are we doing here? Like, it blows my mind. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that it isn't, you know, that you're able to take more positive things from it because it is quite a really, really crazy time at the moment.
100%.
Just horrific.
Definitely. And I think it's definitely brought people so like closer as well.
100%.
It's so difficult because you can't talk generally because there's obviously certain situations and certain homes where maybe you wouldn't want to get closer to the people that you're with. So it's a case by case thing. But I think for people that I've spoken to just on a personal front, like I think it has brought families closer together, and I think it has been, obviously, aside from the complete horrific sort of devastation of how many people who have died and been affected and the economy and things like that, I think it has been a bit of a restart button for a lot of people as well, which you've got to take sort of any positive that you can.
Yeah, like silver lining.
Yeah, but I think it has been an opportunity for people, like, you know what I mean, life is crazy and it's just you realise how busy you were before as well. Like now I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired at the end of the day, and I was like, I haven't been anywhere, I haven't done anything. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the commute and like seeing, like, it was so full and busy. Not for all people, but I think for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind to see London like this. Just absolutely blows my mind. I'm like, there are no people, and that's like, I even got to like do a little handstand with my sister on this bridge, and she took a photo, and I've wanted it for the longest time, but there's always someone waiting, or like in London. And it's so weird for me. Like, my friends send me photos when they go cycling, and like London is empty. There's nothing.
Is it? Because like
No, since he was really clear the other day, old Boris, it's gone a bit more chaotic. But before, when it was like quite serious, they'd gone these, you know, the powers. We're gonna go start a new live, guys. We're about to get kicked off. We've done an hour, excellent, and we have more. So join us on the next one. And then,
okay.
I'll see you in a second. Okay, cool. Hi, we're back for part 2 with Molly Northcote. Loving it, loving it. So yeah, just waiting for her to get back and the rest of you to come back, hopefully. Peter, good morning. Goedemiddag. And the lady's back. Excellent. Dun, 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 dun. Hi.
There we go. Hello.
Yeah. There's a bit more to discuss with you, so we definitely have to go on. So this pandemic, it's absolutely shit, but it's nice to hear individually the people that are getting along. And that's what I mean by, like, you know, those home situations that are not your home. Like, everyone used to laugh at me for paying such high rent in London because I have a garden. And now everyone's begging me to open my garden. Like, they're like, I'll just sit at the bottom, I'll sit away from you. And I'm like, no, but you all used to laugh at me, and now you all live with people in a room and you got nowhere to go. So I think it's really important that, you know, these people that do find themselves in abusive relationships and in shitty, horrible situations, you know, make it your life's work to make your home a safe space for you, that's comfortable, that, you know, this is, if you had to be trapped there, and luckily we've made our house, like, if we were ever trapped in our home, we're cool, we don't need to leave. So yeah, I hope people are just more thoughtful of how, you know, if you're with somebody, could you actually spend 24 hours together? Like, do you actually...
I think, 100%. I think it's definitely kind of given that opportunity to, as we were saying before, just step back and sort of look at everything and be like, this is my situation. Am I happy with it? And you might be like, yeah, you know, this is, and it's, for some people it's like, wow, I'm very lucky, and for some people it's, wow, this is
really,
not a great time.
I suppose we must move swiftly on from this. It's a very dark cloud over our lovely conversation having, I feel. But if we could talk a little bit about the collective that you're with.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, because I have my own collective and I'm trying to be all inclusive and wonderful, and I am very partial to female artists at the moment. I'm all like, go girls, we can do it. Just put everyone, boys, don't worry, I still got you. But it is wonderful to hear, like, so tell us everything.
Yeah, so I've kind of joined in with the Bristol Women's Mural Collective. So that's BWMC. You'll probably see that as a little kind of tag on Instagram and Facebook as well. And yeah, so I think I initially joined because, apart from my boyfriend and his family and 2 other people, I didn't really know anyone in Bristol. Like, I didn't really have like a I didn't have like a group to go to like go to the pub or anything like that. So I kind of just researched the crap out of Facebook groups, and I was like, Bristol painting group, Bristol blah 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 blah, and it's, you find so many interesting sort of groups of people through that. So that's a recommendation. But then came across this, and so it's headed by a girl who goes under the name of Artika. So you'll have to check her stuff out. It's amazing.
Well, we're happy to stalk her and have her on
oh my
here.
god, please do.
Accommodate all of you women of the collective if you want. Happy to do it.
So yeah, she basically founded and created this whole kind of initiative, and so it's me and another girl called Hannah Smock. So us 3 kind of, we've kind of teamed together and sort of are currently managing like a campaign, and we'll hopefully do future ones as well. And it's still kind of early days in it all, but it's just amazing to just have a group of people and women, and everyone's just in the same boat. Everyone's really keen, wanting to learn how do murals already, and just want to get to know other people who do it in the area, and share ideas and things like that. And also, equally, it's for people who have never picked up a paintbrush and done something big before, and it's an easy way for them just to get in and just bounce off other people and sort of just familiarize themselves with how to actually get into it. And the group is amazing, and they organise like paint jams. So there's a few like legal places in Bristol. Have you heard of like legal places do murals?
Only in London, really. I haven't. I mean, I know people talk about going to paint in Bristol. A few of my friends have.
I think they have them all over. I never realised that there were legal places, like legal walls. I didn't realise that was a thing. I was like, it's amazing. So I haven't been to the paint jams, but they hosted a few before I joined, where they just posted on the Facebook group, posted on the Instagram, hey, we're going to go down this weekend, bring some paint. If not, we've got some paint as well, and just free reign, just meet some other people, have a bit of a laugh, and just create some work on a larger scale. And I think it's just that kind of just safe, easy opportunity and environment, which is just so nice. And I think it's just a lot of women have gained a lot of interest in it. And I think for me personally, it's been such an eye-opener as well, because I think I've been personally very fortunate in the sense that I've never, as a female, I don't feel like I've ever not been able to do anything because of my gender, which is equally, I'm very fortunate and how things sort of align up. Obviously, from an obvious standpoint. So I think I feel like it's really nice to meet all these other girls in person, and like I've met this one girl at like a life drawing class, and I sat next to her and we got chatting, and I was like, oh, and she was like, oh, I've always wanted to paint big. I was like, oh my god, come along. And she came along and we had a pint, and it was with the small group of girls, and she was like, this is so nice, because she just wouldn't have felt comfortable doing it if it was like a larger group of people and a mixed group of people as well, which I think for a lot of girls that is a obvious kind of it's a barrier. Do you know what I mean? There's so many reasons,
but even if you look at your experience in whole, there's 3 women out of 100 artists. So you're taking and maybe not due to the founders, maybe only men sort of have applied, but I know, the whole graffiti scene that I knew in South Africa, I didn't know one. I think I heard of one female writer, but she was in Cape Town. But I've literally never, it's just so inaccessible to girls, and it can be incredibly dangerous, because a lot of, like, if you're a real graffiti artist, you steal your paint.
Yeah, like, of course, yeah. And I think there's definitely,
but it's really scary.
I think I'm still really new to it all, but I think there is kind of a distinct between graffiti, which is this very kind of, you're under a tag name and you're kind of like this anonymous person. You really have to sort of be careful about where you go, and sort of it's illegal. So there's the whole thing about that. So there's that kind of like thing. But then there's also the murals, which is more, can be commercial, can be more, what would you call it? It's I think they're 2 kind of distinct groups and ways of doing it.
I'm just, and I think a lot of the bigger mural artists have had a lot of experience in the illegal graffiti back in the day. They just have more access to doing bigger walls, so they tend to be more confident because, they're dudes, you know what I mean? Like, I've stood around and I won't go and paint on my own, even at a legal wall. I won't do it. Like,
and there is that, 100%.
I ask my male graffiti artist friends, like, when are you painting? And I go paint with them, because it can be incredibly, like, daunting. And then they've had access to these really big spaces, and they spend all day together, and they pee standing up. It's hard to be a good guy out there as a girl. You need a shiwi and
go around the corner.
Happy to be there 8 hours, but guys, we need toilets.
Please. Can we organize this,
it is very disproportionate, I think, for women, but it's great that you guys have created a safe space where women experiment and be.
I'd love to sort of, actually sort of get to the crux of what is the reason why there's so many, well, lack of women that do engage with it. Because yeah, like you said, there's the kind of practical sides of things like that, and I think that is definitely a big element of it, actually going on your own, because it's mainly in cities anyway. Maybe, I don't know, but you kind of always find it in cities rather than just on a random shed in the middle of the malls, which there will be, but yeah, no, the thought of actually just going on your own as a girl, I don't know if I would feel comfortable doing that. And it's the kind of balance of, is it worth it? And just actually being able to have someone else to go with. And I think it's just that network of people, of just being able to say, are you free this day? Yep, okay. And it's just even going in a pair with someone, it just makes it a little bit, and it's just I think it's just a really, really, really nice collective. We've got a campaign on at the moment, and we're doing like a colour prompt each week, and people are sending in their stuff. It's so good.
Want to participate. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I might do that. So I followed
join in.
I was like,
definitely. So we've got some, we had things that had to be postponed because we'd planned some quite exciting stuff, but then lockdown happened, and it's like, how do we still promote women and people to paint whilst lockdown and sort of adjust to the new norm. And yes, we've got this campaign at the moment, so I might just shout out about that. So we do a colour prompt every week. We're now on Yellow Week, and yeah, it's just anything. And it can be a photograph, it could be a painting, it could be a drawing. We had one girl who, I think it's such a cool idea. She took a photo of a wall in Bristol, and she's got access to like a photo editing thing. So it must have been on Photoshop or something like that. And basically she drew on a mural, like a digital mural on the thing, on the wall. And I was like, oh, I love that. I was like, that's just such a nice workaround. So yeah, it's I think like the collective that you've got, it's just so, I think because it can be such a personal thing anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like you at home with your paintbrush, with your pencil, with your camera. Like it's a very kind of, it's not like a team. Well, in most cases, it's not really like a team thing. So to be able to just chat with someone else who is like, oh shit, yeah, I can't get this paint color either, or how do you do this? I've always been wanting to do this, but I have no idea how to do it. Just being able to have those conversations is so special and so simple and easy. And I think especially the collective that you've the Hanway Collective in London, just the exhibitions that you do and the life drawing class, like it creates, it's just such an easy community, isn't it, of people who are just all interested in the same thing. And there's no pressure as well. If people don't want to turn up, they don't have to turn up. It's not like it's just a very kind of fluid,
and yeah, it is.
Take what you want from it.
Yeah, and then also what I was saying to Marvin is like, you know, your collectives don't have to be your lifelong mates or your best friend. They need to be people that are supporting. Like if your best mate isn't an artist, it's probably not ideal to I don't know, to try to bring them into something that they aren't, you know, rather go and put yourself in those spaces with, like, I was so frustrated in my 9-to-5 just not having any creative people, but all around me were really creative people and artists and designers, and I was like, well, what if we'd like do stuff together? Like we'll have more brains.
Yeah, completely.
No, but we're also able to sort of have those tough conversations and say like, well, actually, I can't commit to this because I don't want to let you guys down. You know, like there's one, Berenice, she's made me the most amazing coach. She's a phenomenal fashion designer. But I also don't really know where she fits in an artist collective, but I can't not have her. I'm like, nah, you too amazing. You do too many cool things. So that's also been great having her and deciding how do we find a space for her? You know, how do we include that? And it's really to just phone someone and be like, I just want to throw my whole thing in the bin. I hate it. It sucks. And then they're like, don't be so stupid.
Completely. It's a really, really nice, group as well.
Great group. I think, like you say, the Facebook groups, I was going to say that's a fantastic tip. You know, like you say, you didn't know anyone in Bristol. And for people, like, use the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, people are really responsive. People are really, they want to engage. So find your tribe of people that can further your art.
I think following on from that, like, we're so lucky compared to the pre-social media age. Like, not lucky, but I can
so
imagine it's easier. Oh my God, like, just because there's one thing just turning up in person to a group and being like, oh, hi, my name's Molly, please can I join and be your friend, please, thank you. Like, that's like, if, do you know what I mean? If you're normal shy, that's a massive thing to go and do. But to have a platform, I absolutely love Instagram, I love Facebook. I use them a lot, well, pretty much just to all of my art stuff, really. And it's just be able to speak to people all the way around the world as well. And that sounds so cheesy, but just be able to post something and then have someone from America be like, yeah, that's something. Just
it's wonderful.
How many people you can reach is just mad. And I think with going back to the collective, I think, like you said, is it Bernice who does the fashion?
Bernice.
Bernice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it doesn't matter what medium it is. It's all just doing something. And I just love how there's, like, especially with the arts and music and things like that, there's no it doesn't have, like, people don't have to do it. It's not like something that needs a means to an end. Like, I love how you can just create something. It's like, I don't know why I did that. There's no reason why I did that, but I wanted to do it. And just to be is the whole kind of, and whether that's a painting or whether that's a drawing or making a dress or a coat or a piece of music, it's just a whole kind of, like, doesn't serve a purpose in the sense of, like, biological kind of fight or flight. But, and I just love how so many people engage with it when there's no reason to it. There is obviously so many reasons to it, but from like I don't know, is my point making sense? Like, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. No, like, people just do it because they love doing it. And I just absolutely love that about it. Like,
I think, like I explained to Marvin during my interview, I had attempted a collective before, but I think I kind of assumed what people were telling me out of their own mouth was what they wanted. So I facilitated it, started a company, like, really, like, oh, you want to do it? Cool. And I'm cool to go and do all that boring shit.
Yeah.
But legit, like, set up a whole company and did everything like that. But what I've come to understand is, if you're not obsessed and ready to be held accountable, like, I can't drag you with me. I really can't. Like, and in a collective, I think, like, you join those women, they were already obsessed.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My sister's obsessed with her glass. Like, when she's in a painting, like, time, like, it's not all the time, but it's 2 weeks you don't see her.
Yeah.
And then she's in bridges with, like, loads of glass.
Look what I mean.
Everywhere. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's important. Yeah, it's just, it is. It's a crazy thing to not. And for me to think to do that alone, like, no.
Yeah.
Collective, I think, is just, and it gives you almost a little bit more credibility. You know what I mean? If you're new and you don't have that artistic studying background, you don't really know how to get in. I think forming a collective or approaching collectives that you admire and attempting to be a part of them it's such an awesome way, like you say, to share ideas, to build each other up when you want to tear yourself down. It can be really, really cool. I mean, but you do need to be very mindful. You know, prima donnas and princesses have their place. It's not particularly in a collective, though. It's in a castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when we do it, our gallery, it is a pop-up gallery. It's a beautiful bar that we change into a gallery for the evening. And it's great. But we all have to bring lamps and, you know, sometimes
got to put
everyone's got to, you know, share some stuff, put the effort in. So I'm asking a financial gain from it, but if we're all in it together, it costs you nothing to share a post of each other's. And we're already doing that in such a supportive way that it's all stuck a given. You don't have to say it, which is what I really enjoy.
Everyone's in it for the same thing, and everyone wants to gain something from it. So
Yeah, and like
I think
we are kind of creating it for no reason. You rationale and they commission that there's a legitimate reason. Like, it is just purely to lift someone. Like, I feel that you only buy art that uplifts you in some kind of way. So it really isn't for anything other than to make people feel something.
And I think as well, on the back of that, I think
it's so important as well, so fundamental to it. Sorry.
No, definitely. And I think when it comes, like, there doesn't always have to be this kind of really philosophical reason why you did something, or message that you want to take in your art, or I did this piece of work and it's supposed to represent sort of X, Y, and Z. And I think that's great. And I love how artwork can do that. And I love how you can have a whole conversation around that. But I love the fact as well how you can buy a piece of artwork, or you can get a tattoo, or you can just really like something and not have to have a reason as well. I think that's such a nice element to it. It's like, you know what? I have no idea why I really like this, but I just do. And it's that whole kind of, I love that whole, like with the collective as well, like everyone, it's this whole different mix of people who you're going to meet, and it opens up so many different doors. And yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just everyone's there for the same reason.
I get it 100%.
And I think as well, on the back of that, like, you don't have to have a reason to like something or do something or any kind of prompt or anything like that. But I think it just, I don't know what point I'm making. I think, we've spoken about so much. I think the collective that you've done is so nice, and I would love to come to London and check it all out.
Well, we would love to have you exhibit with us. So, I mean, you are super available. Like, I've had my whole 2020 planned, and everyone in the collective laughs at me because, like, I literally had the whole of 2020 planned until, like, I think August or September.
Wow.
Like, live models, everything was on this one master copy, and they all laughed at me. They're like, how did that work out for you? I'm like, let's move on.
I'm going to move on from that.
Oh, it's so sad. I was like, okay, that's all color coded. And my sister asked me yesterday, she's like, when was that exhibition? So I looked at her, glared at her, and I went to my screen, and I was like, 27th of February, before the boom of COVID.
Pre-lockdown. Oh,
horrible. But we're super, super happy to, and even like, I would like to talk to you after about the other women in the collective. Like, we're happy to.
I think it'll be nice to have some kind of.
Absolutely, yeah, because I think even you're doing a color prompt every day. That's like, it's a little mental healthy. It's all, I love the concept of it. And it's also a bit of, do it. Why not?
If you're, I think, it's a really, really nice little campaign, actually. I think when we initially started it, we had, well, maybe it was just me. I think I went straight to like, oh my God, and we can make like a mural on the side of a massive building in Bristol, like, once this is all over. Like, oh my God, went straight to like extreme campaign. And it's just nice to be in a collective with other people who are like, this is our first campaign. Let's just take it slowly. But it was just being able to bounce all these ideas off people. And like, I think as well, like, not even just in art, and just the psychology of like teams and groups and companies and things like that, and how different people work with each other. Like, you have people who sort of take the back bench and sort of just listen and take it all in, and then right at the end they'll sort of, once they've formulated everything in their head, then they'll kind of share it with you. Or then you've got someone else who's just saying everything that comes into their head, and just being able to combine all those different personalities alongside all of the different streams of artwork is just this kind of crazy, exciting. It's just a really kind of like buzzing.
There's a lot of around it.
Yeah, energy. I think that's what it is. Yeah, there's a lot of energy, and I think as well, it's just wanting to share that energy, wanting to share the energy as well. I think they're both the collective, your collective, our collective. It's
man.
It's kind of all for the same thing, just trying to share the love,
No, like if
share
we
the energy.
like you were talking about earlier, that sort of one sentence that defines you. It's like, I
Yeah,
just want to promote artists. Like if I have to strip away all the fluffy bullshit, like
yeah,
that's it. I don't know what will come from that or what will happen, but I'm really excited at the network I've started to build up. And,
hmm,
you know, to be able to have your exhibition would be an absolute pleasure for us, an absolute joy. Do you know what I mean? It's not like,
yeah,
oh my God, we've got I don't really care if you have 10 followers, if you have 25,000 followers. Like I've literally just gone through Instagram and found artists that stick out to me and
yeah,
then followed them and messaged you all and said, well, I really like your
yeah,
stuff. Want to talk to me for a bit?
exactly.
That was fantastic because I get to have these moments with you, which just build a deeper emotional
Mm,
connection to what your process is and what it is that you're doing. And like you say, it's just about sharing and supporting
yeah,
other artists. And when you're coming from that place, I think only the most beautiful things will come from
mm,
that. Okay?
definitely.
Like
And
who
there's just,
knows what the
yeah,
outside of the Bristol building will look like once you've
yeah.
got all your images from all your color prompts. Thank God there's a you, Molly, being
Yeah.
crazy. I'm the Molly of my collective. I'm like, and then, I had to say to my friend the one
And
day,
then
I
we
was
can make
like,
a boat.
exactly. And my friend the other day, she was looking at me and I was like, okay, if you don't make a safe word with me, I'm just going to message you at 3 a.m. with ideas. I'm going to tell you, and we need to be conscious because we work in our 9 to 5 together, but we also have the collective. So I don't want to
Yeah.
overwhelm you, but
Yeah, I know, and it's just that. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
exactly. So, yeah.
I agree.
It's good
And
to have those different perspectives around the things that you want to do. And also, like you say, like looking at those artists in one place and seeing the common thread, you can all still put those really different people together and find the common language you all have when
yeah,
it's quite
completely.
authentic, and
Yeah,
it's really cool.
yeah. And there's just so many interesting people out there, and so much cool stuff that people are making that you just don't know about because
Yeah.
there's so many people out there doing the same thing. So just it's just such a nice kind of way to actually see what else is going on,
And
and it opens up so many doors. And you meet one person and they're friends with someone else, and they're like, oh yeah, we're doing this weekend. It's like, oh okay. So yeah, it's a really, yeah, special
excellent. And we'll
special thing.
post a little bit more about that after this talk. We'll just
Definitely.
put a bit more information so you guys can follow the
Hmm.
collective and do the little color prompts. They're really
Yeah,
cute.
that would be great. That'd be
I'm
amazing.
proud of
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
And then what is it that besides what you're working on with the collective, what are you working on currently for yourself?
Currently for myself. So I've got the collective stuff, and then I've got another side project where I'm making loads of greeting cards.
Oh,
And then
cool.
that's just like a charity thing. So all the profits from that will go to a charity called Crisis. It's like a homeless charity. They're
So
really cool.
before Molly carries on, all the cool stuff Molly's doing and talking about, we'll put it all in a post at the end of this because that's also very cute and very cool. Not cute, it's very professional and amazing. A bit of good thing.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. But yeah, so that's kind of a little project. I've got all those printed now, so they're just I need to just buy some envelopes, and then they can all be sort of put on my Instagram and shared. So that's one thing, and then in terms of I've kind of finished. I had a long sort of spate of doing commission work, which was amazing, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I've kind of just come out the end of it now, where I don't felt I haven't felt like for a long time that I've just had proper or like my spare time can just be dedicated to doing whatever I want. So I'm kind of just entering that now, and it's quite nice going into a weekend just being like, I don't have to make art for anyone else, even though I absolutely love it. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's you can't when you're doing a commission, it's like right, well they like this, it's you're doing it for someone else, so there needs to be obviously that care and attention and thought put into it. And it's quite nice now just doing something and then tearing it up and being like, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put this over the top, like no one's gonna see it. So I'm kind of trying to. My boyfriend's dad is in the construction industry, so I'm just trying to get loads of scrap pieces of cardboard and big, just things to actually paint on big and just do some larger stuff. And yeah, I think I'm right now, apart from the greeting cards and the collective, I'm just kind of exploring at the moment. That's kind of what I'm doing. And yeah, just trying to paint a bit more big as well, and just trying to find ways in doing that when you don't have access to a wall. So it's just kind of figuring out those workarounds and speaking to other people and things like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
And now we come to the piece de resistance, my absolutely favorite question to ask all of you lovely artists. Like, I want you to understand this is all your dream, okay? There's no money limit, there's no geography standing in your way, there's no governments. What's the dream?
There's no. I like this question.
I love this question. So, really? That's weird.
Okay, cool, good. I have quite a few. So, I think in terms of, I've got so many. What I would love, and this is something that I'm working towards, and it will happen, but I just would love a massive warehouse where I can just paint all on the inside, and then when I'm finished I can repaint it again, and just having unlimited space to do anything, and just like a huge studio warehouse. I've seen, who is it, Damien Hirst at the moment. I just follow him, and he's got some stories, and he's just got this big space where he's just got these massive boards, and that is kind of like I think that's that's like a realistic, it's realistic. I think that's like a practical, like a materialistic goal. I would like just the space to do anything like that, anything I want to. And then my other one, well, I've got two more. My other one would be so I had a lot of time last year. I had like quite major hip surgery last year.
Oh wow.
So I had about 3 months where I could just sit and think about a lot of things. And yeah, this one kind of recurring sort of thought, I just had a lot of time to think about what I do and what I want to do, and that was like a massive restart button as well, sort of phase. I was like, I think I was reading books about art and just videos and stuff like that, following loads of different artists, and I was like, what's it all about? And like my ideas around what makes good art as well, like what makes a good piece of art? Is it the amount of time that's been put into it, or the amount of how big it is? Like, I can't remember who's that really famous one he did all the sunflower seeds in the
tape.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just read that post the other day.
Is it Awe?
Something like that. I can't remember.
Like that. But he kind of popped into my head, and he was like that completely transforms what art is, because it's so away from, and you draw a nose like this, and the proportions, it's just like bang. I don't know what this is, but it makes you stop, and it's massive. And I love that whole idea of like having something completely large scale and there's no reason for it, and it just makes people stop. And I think I always have this kind of, I just love the whole concept of like, if an alien came down to Earth, and he was like, what's that? What does that do? I'm just like, it doesn't do anything. It's like, well, why have you done it?
Like, shut up and look at it.
Yeah. And I think,
oh no, the wheel of death. The internet.
hello. The life that. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm so sorry. We lost you after the alien. I shut up and just look at it, and then the internet went a bit.
I think that was me. Alien. And okay, yeah. Basically, just this whole kind of. I love the whole. Just idea of creating stuff and then not having to be a reason, and there doesn't need to be like a little caption underneath saying this represents this, and I did this because of this, because this reminds me of a certain time. It's just like, I did it and I really like it. And I think there's so much kind of, maybe we won't ever know, this is getting very deep. Maybe, I think you could, who's the guy that, is it Freud? Who did all about the dreams and like what your dreams represent. And I think there's so much can link to that, where you do a massive piece of artwork and you're like, oh, I don't know why I did it. But then somewhere that's come from something. And maybe in this lifetime you had, I know it's getting very deep, but like it's come from somewhere, but you don't know where. And I love that whole kind of detachment of you're like on a puppet and you're doing something and you don't know why you're doing it.
Yeah, because then there's that whole thing of like, where's the subconscious and the conscious? Like, where is that line with it? Like, where do we really get our inspiration from? It can be quite bizarre.
And there's this whole kind of like, us talking now, I'm consciously talking to you. But then there's this whole kind of like, I think it's going to get really deep, but it's like this whole subconscious thing, which you, for some reason, you just can't speak to in a conversation like this. And like, even just your whole body, like stuff is going on inside your body that you have no control over. Like there's blood going to all the different organs and it just happens. And it's just the detachment from that. And I think art is a nice way, art, music, shooting like a basketball in a hoop or driving really, really, really fast. There's some kind of like, it somehow just combines them together for like a split moment. And it's kind of, is it euphoric? Is that a word?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the kind of moment where it's like, oh, your subconscious, like these two things have just kind of aligned and it's like, no. And I think that was a massive tangent. I don't know what I was saying with that. That's just a discussion. But I think in terms of, back to the question about what my dream thing would be. I think I would just love to make something as big as possible. you know Coles and his big like Coles figures, they have like the crossed eyes.
Yes
the little American guy. So he started in graffiti. He absolutely loves his work. He's a really cool guy. And so he's got these little, I love the whole with him, and he's got like an identity with all of his figures, and he kind of just repeats it and just explores it and explores it and explores it. And he started off like with just drawings, and now he's made like massive sculptures of them. And there's one where he's made, which is, I don't even know how big it is. It's like the size of 2 buses. I'm going to say that. And it's just like floating in the water, and it's just laid in the water like this. And then it's just massive pieces of, I just love the thought of that, because even if you don't like art, or even if you think it just looks stupid, or you look at it and you're like, I could do that. It's just there, and it makes people stop. And it's just it kind of brings it back to the whole kind of lockdown thing, where it's just actually being able to make someone stop and look at something. They might not sort of, even if they think about it the next day and be like, oh yeah, I don't know, it's just having that kind of, maybe that's what being like is an artist. Oh, this is getting so deep, but like,
I'm liking it, I'm here for it.
No, you get me on a rail there. But like, do people make art because it's their kind of like impact and their imprint? Like, do you get fulfillment? Well, obviously people do, but like, if you weren't part, for example, if you weren't part of a collective, if you just stayed in your one room and you never went outside and you just made art for yourself, like, what is the whole different reasons why people do things? And like, when people make massive big things, is it because they want to be remembered? Is it because they want to have an impact? What's the
Yeah, I mean, and also what blows my mind sometimes about like the giganticisms, the scale that you're talking about, actually in the post where I rediscovered the sunflower thing you were talking about at the Tate.
Yeah.
Of this post they put up the other day had this huge sun, and it was my first experience in the Tate. And basically this dude had recreated a sunset inside the Tate. And like, I actually cried, because it was like standing in because you don't have the same type of sunsets here that we have in South Africa. It's just different. And I literally was moved to tears, feeling as if I was standing back in Africa. It was a very, 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 very strange feeling. And the scale of putting the whole entire like walkway of the Tate in mirrors and fog machines. It was incredible. And that type of gigantic scale is like, that's incredible. I find it amazing, and it always does evoke some kind of emotional reaction, which is really the point of a lot of what we do. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any more dreams rolling around in there?
I'd love to be a professional snowboarder on the side of all of that. That would be, I've only been once, but that would be cool. That's it. If we're just talking generally about dreams, I've got a load of them. But yeah, no, lots of different things. I think a mixture of all of that.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. But, I think, what about you? What's your dream?
I actually just want a huge lot with loads of big containers that people can have as studios, but like they don't have to pay. That has to be my thing. Like you have to just be able to come here and you can have the container forever. You can have it for a while, you know, like there'd be all different spaces for art people to come together. There'd be studio spaces for photographers and models and life drawing, like just a lot of things that you can find ways to find other artists. I want a big,
like a mini city, like a self-contained mini.
Yeah, and like just have big, you know, containers with little cute steps, and you know, it's got to be a nice place with nice weather.
Have you ever been to Amsterdam?
Yes, love Amsterdam.
And have you been to? I went with my boyfriend a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what it's called, but we got on a boat. And it was called like, it was like 4 letters. It was like NSFW or something.
Okay.
And kind of similar thing to what you're talking about, but basically you go in and have you ever I'm going on a tangent, I'm going to stick to one thing, but it was a similar thing where it was a massive warehouse, and I think it used to be some sort of big industrial factory for whatever reason, and it had been basically made into loads of different things for different artists, and you just walked around this huge warehouse and you'd go up to like these little metal steps and you peer through the window and it was just like someone's artist studio, and then you'd go through like, you'd walk along this little walkway and then you peer into another. It was like all, it feels like a bit of a dream now, but like loads of different hidey holes in this whole big warehouse where there was just this whole different, it was amazing. But it just reminded me of that, like just this whole kind of place where just like a little family, and it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna pop over there and get some tape.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. So many people, when I've spoken to them about my favorite question, it's a lot of the time it's to have their own space to create. And it kind of made me happy that my dream is kind of like, okay, well, I want to make a space for all of you to do that. So that's cool. I've got it.
We got it all under control.
I'm on the
that's convenient. Hello.
Well, no, it was really nice to hear. Great to hear that everyone kind of wants the same thing. So I'm like, cool. If I've got no money and no government, I've got you all. No problem, guys.
I'll come here. It's all good.
Yeah, no, that's really fun. I love the snowboarding thing. Like away from art, I'm totally like you. I've had 2 lessons in the snow dome in Milton Keynes or something, and I'm like, I can do this. I could be a total badass on the snowboard.
So that is, that's the next project, I think. You'll see me in the Olympics soon.
Love it. We're here for it. We're totally here.
I'm joking.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think that's really all I wanted to sort of know. I mean, I think we could probably go on for 8 more hours, but thank you so much for a phenomenal insight and overview of the things that you're into and what you're trying to drive forward. I think it's really awesome, and I can't wait to see what's next. It's going to be very cool.
Oh, I can't wait to meet in person.
I know.
I know, it'll be so nice. But thank you so much. I think you just don't. You don't really get an opportunity to talk 2 hours about your work. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if someone goes, and what do you do? There's kind of like a cap on how much you can talk about it. You know? You give a brief summary and you're like, yeah, I do this, and they're like, oh, cool, okay, I do this. I was like, okay. But like, just being able to just chat has been so lovely and therapeutic and really interesting. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, don't thank me.
You for organising all of this.
But yeah, guys, if you want anything, if you want any of the stuff that you've heard about today, we're going to send a post, and then obviously go on to Molly's Instagram. She is the artist we have featured today on our Instagram stories. I think I've also got one with your yellow thing that's got the collective tagged underneath you.
Yeah.
But we'll post more about the postcards and how people can support what it is that you guys are doing, because I think it's fab. And anyway, we can help.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
But yeah, thank you so much. And guys, have a great rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekends.
Thank you. Thank you,
man.
Bye.
Bye.